Hello, my name is Scott from Blue Loop Media, and this is the second video in a series about basic JavaScript. Today we're going to talk about syntax and what it is and what it means. Syntax is what is syntax? It's really just a way that a certain format or a way that you would write something in order to talk to your browser in JavaScript. Um, just like for example, just like the way that human beings talk in English through sentences, there's a certain way that if you want to write a sentence, there's a certain way that other human beings can read it. So just like here, I just made up the sentence here, like I have a dog named Meatjaw. So like you notice like a English sentence, the way that there's spaces in between all the words so that you can understand like what separates the words. And then at the beginning of the sentence there's like a capital, and then at the end of the sentence you have a period, so you know that's just the end of your statement or the end of your thought. And then here uh, the sentence is made up of words. So you have like I have a dog name, those are concrete words that are in the English dictionary, which everybody knows about. You can look them up. Like I have a dog named. We can look up all those words. But then you have a word here called meatjaw, which I'm sure that's not in the dictionary. It might be, but that's the name of the dog, and that's kind of like a name that I specifically gave to a certain dog, and I made it up. So it's kind of that's kind of just the basics of understanding what syntax is, it's just a way of writing. Um, and there's important things that or I'll show you like the syntax of how you write in JavaScript. So I'm going to let's start up with putting a script tag in here. Um, yeah, you can see all this stuff like about the script tag. If you're not sure about it, what I'm doing right now, just go see my first video, and that explains the beginnings of JavaScript. So I'm just going to put a script tag in there, close it off. Okay, so the first thing that just like with English, there's certain things that need to be capitalized, and there's certain things that don't need to be capitalized. And it's kind of like the same way with JavaScript. I'm just going to write some JavaScript code here, which I'll explain later. So we'll say var a equals 1. So there I set up a variable to equal 1, and then I'll do another one. I'll say var a equals 2. So these are completely, this a and that a is completely separate. So JavaScript is what they call case sensitive. So even if I do like this, like if I say hello equals 3, and then if I say var hello and then have a capital O equals 4, those are still two separate things because the case is different. The next thing that you have to understand about JavaScript is white space. It's kind of like the same thing with English. You just have spaces between all the things that you want to say. Next thing is semicolons. You'll notice here that you have var a equals 1, that a semicolon is kind of like the way in English, the way that you put a period at the end of the sentence. That's all really that a semicolon is. It's just saying that this is the end of my statement, or this is the end of the statement, or the end of the sentence that I want to tell JavaScript to do something. And that's pretty much all it with getting started with JavaScript. There's some other things that, or a format that it's good to know about with syntax in JavaScript. You'll see or hear about a thing called comments, and what that is a way of putting notes inside your JavaScript programs. Kind of like in English, just to describe what the program is about or what something is going to do, and it's really just for humans. So that say that you write a program, you want to come back later on and you want to pull up your program and look at it. These notes are helpful to kind of see what you're doing in a program, and also for other people that if somebody else pulls up in your program, they can kind of it's kind of like helpful to have notes in there just to explain some stuff or to clarify things. So the way that you do comments, there's two different ways. The first way is a double slash, and what that means is that anything that you type on this line is going to be commented out. So JavaScript won't see that; it'll just completely ignore it. Another type of comment is the /* and then the */. And then what that is these are kind of like brackets or containers, and then anything that you type in between there it's going to be ignored. So this is kind of like, so if you have a like a longer comment that you're going to write and have like a whole a whole paragraph or a whole bunch of information, you can use that kind of comment. So another thing with JavaScript is these things called vars. Just like in my English sentence, like the way I have meat jaw, that's kind of like a name that you can make up. And JavaScript is kind of like the same way. A variable is just like a name that you make up, and it's a container for something that you can use it and fill up that container or that variable, and then you can change it also, or you can fill it up with something else. So it's just like a way of names that you give something to store information, really. And you'll see here like A and this capital A, those are variables. And then I'm actually putting 2 inside there, and we'll get into what equals later on down the line. That's part of the other things with JavaScript language. And then there are certain things that you can set variables to. Or put inside the variable container. So you see here, there's one of the things that you can set to a variable, which is called data types. And so this is a equals 1. This is 1 is a number, and a number is part of the is one of the data types of JavaScript. So a number can be like 1.0. So that's a more of a longer number, and it can be really long like that, or you can just have an integer, just a number without the decimal point. And then there's some other numbers that you can type, but I won't get into it. And then you have another thing that you can set a variable to is a Boolean. Here, let me erase these other things just to make it less confusing. And then there's another variable that you can set, or there's another data type that you can set variables to, and that's a Boolean. And what that means is Boolean is something that's either something or it's not, and some other stuff. But really the only Booleans you have to worry about is true and false. True, and that really just says that this is you're setting A to true, or something that's true, and then the other Boolean type is false, and then you have false. So that's the Boolean data type. The other data type that you can set variables to is a thing called strings, and strings is any kind of character that you want to write, in numbers too. And the reason why it's called string is it's kind of like just a bunch of text or letters that are all strung together on like a string. So that's why they call it strings. It's kind of weird name to give something, but that's what it's called. So the way that you do strings is that you use anything in between a quote tells something that it's a string. So I'll just create the string here called hello world, and then you close it off with another quote. And so anything between here is a string, and then you're setting this string to this variable A. So that's kind of like the basics of the syntax and getting to variables a little bit. So in my next video, we're going to get into some more of the different data types and what all these little symbols and stuff that you have in JavaScript. So I'll see you in the next video. And then if you want to subscribe or make any comments or contact me, feel free to. Thanks.